Okay, everybody, we decided to take this week off, so here's one of our classic episodes. Hope you enjoy. Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of ALL2REELTOO. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, via Zoom is...
Santa Claus.
You're Santa Claus?
Yeah. Have been this whole time, actually.
Shit.
Yep.
So, when I was 8... and I wanted an Optimus Prime, and you didn't get me one. Why?
That was because the Soviet Union had like their own version of Santa Claus, and he was stealing other presents. And that was one of the ones, because that was really popular. And no, I'm just making it up. It's because Santa Claus isn't like a forever type being. They actually only worked for like 50 years, and they get replaced by another Santa Claus. So at that point, I wasn't actually Santa Claus. So,
okay.
So that person, for whatever reason, decided not to give you the Optimus Prize. I mean, Optimus Prize. Well, I guess it would have been a prize.
Yes,
so,
the Optimus Prime. Yes. So, yeah. My other question is the movie The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen, a biopic then?
No, that's just a made-up piece of shit.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah. No, I would not allow a person who is convicted of trafficking cocaine to portray me in any movie about my life or about my actions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they were like a convicted murderer?
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
I just don't like Tim Allen. So, no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, cocaine trafficking is not as bad as murder, so no. I guess we'll have to accept. If I had to choose between the two, I guess I'd go with Tim Allen, just because I'd rather not have a murderer portray Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So he'll get like a little bump. Well, a bump. I guess that's appropriate. But you get a little bump up,
yes.
The hiring process. And he certainly would be getting higher from all that, energy going on. But
the thing is, I don't really like Tim Allen as a person necessarily, but I do like him as an actor, so I'll give him that.
He's pretty good. I mean, Galaxy Quest is a really good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cheesy, but it's a good movie. Yeah. Big Trouble is a really good movie. Yes. He is one of the very rare conservative actors who are actually funny. I mean, it's a very rare breed. It's
yes, it is.
I'm not trying to be mean. It's just factually true.
Yeah, I'd go with like him and like Kelsey Grammer and a couple other people are pretty funny. Yeah. So
but Kelsey Grammer though, he's like, isn't he like married to someone who's kind of like really really super like sexual though? Like, or not? Because I've seen interviews of him before where like I don't know, they're like talking.
I don't know much about his personal life. So
I'm just saying that usually that's like he's a rare breed even of itself, because usually they're very like prim and proper, at least in public,
Yeah.
And they're like, we have good values, or so he's an outlier too. I'm basically saying all the ones are just outliers. Yeah. to prove my bias.
So
but that's what we do. That's what we do now in this world. So
yeah, prove our biases. And So speaking of the holidays, though, Mr. Santa Claus here, today we are covering, in our Direct from Hell series, the 2012 holiday classic, A Christmas Story 2.
Yeah.
The film is a direct sequel to the 1983 film that people consider a classic, unlike me. A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And this ignores the events of the 1994 film My Summer Story, which was a sequel to A Christmas Story.
Really? Did not know that.
And also, it includes some of the events in the telefilm Ali Hop Noodles, Haven of Bliss. Sorry, I can't talk today. Which was another sequel to A Christmas Story.
Okay.
Yeah, which we should cover both of those for the podcast eventually.
I never even heard of these other two.
They're actually not bad. So,
okay.
And in all honesty, if I'm completely serious, this movie wasn't that bad either. But anyway, so
no, it wasn't. And by the way, I just want to say I apologize if I'm alienating any of our audience by just immediately talking about political stuff in a freaking
it's okay.
Christmas movie review. But so we can just cut that part out if you want.
Now I'm gonna leave it in because it's us, honestly. You know,
it's true. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So I want to say something controversial, which is more controversial than what I said before. I actually think this movie's better than the original Christmas Story movie.
You know what's really funny, Matt? I was going to say the same thing.
I'm dead serious.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because I've seen the original so many fucking times. Unwillingly, because my sister insisted on watching it constantly when we were younger.
Yeah.
To the point where I began to hate it. So
it's just objectively not a very good movie. It's one of these things where it's like enough people decide that it's a cult classic, then other people jump on the bandwagon because they want to be part of the group, and then it just perpetuates itself in like a vicious cycle. Everyone says this movie's great. This movie's great. You gotta see it. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it every Christmas. Tradition. But if you actually just watch the movie objectively, it's terrible. It's not funny. It's stupid. The actors are usually kind of dumb, except for like the parents. They're like the only good actors. All the kids are just idiots. It just I don't know. It's something about it. I just hate that movie. Yeah, and it's the same thing too with like my brother. Like it became like a Christmas tradition, and he thought I loved the movie. So he's like every Christmas, like, "Hey, want to come over to my house and we'll watch the Christmas Story?" I never had the heart to tell him that I think the movie sucks. So I just go over there every Christmas Eve for like 10 straight years, just sitting through this movie that I hated because he thought that I liked it.
Well, you're a good brother.
Yeah, I guess so. So I eventually told him, like, we gotta pick a different movie every, like Tommy Boy or Black Sheep or something that's not even Christmas related, because I don't really like Christmas movies that much. But
see, if I have to watch a Christmas movie over and over again, it's going to be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, that's a really good.
That is my favorite Christmas movie. That or It's a Wonderful Life. I'll watch both of those.
Yeah, those are good.
Yes,
Elf. I like Elf, but I've seen that a million times too.
Yeah, so. Elf is good. There's a couple other. I'm trying to think of other Christmas. I mean, I do like the Santa Claus. So
yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah,
Santa Part 2 is pretty good too.
And I mean, of course, there's Jingle All the Way too. And
of course. I mean, yeah, with Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, yeah. Yes.
Oh boy!
How could you forget that? Yeah.
Recent Masked Singer contestant Larry the Cable Guy.
Was that proven that?
Yeah, he got unmasked. Yes.
Okay. You thought it was him, so
yeah, I knew it was him from the beginning. I could tell by his voice when he was singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, this so they decided, like what is it, like 30 years after the original to make another one.
Yeah, it was like 29 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
Mm.
okay, the film takes place 6 years after the events of the original film in 1946. And Ralphie, our protagonist, now played by Brandon LeMasters, or no, Braden, sorry. I totally messed up his name. Yeah, Braden LeMasters. There we go. So it takes place in 1946, and Ralphie is now 15 years old, almost 16. And all he wants now is instead of the original where he wanted a Red Ryder BB gun, you know. This time for Christmas, he really wants a 1939 Mercury 8 convertible. Yep.
As you do.
Well, I wanted one of those once, and
I mean, it's a good car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have one right now, but you know.
Yeah. So, the car's on a display ramp at one point. Oh yeah, first we're like, you know, sorry, I'm going to go back to I might be jumping over here a little bit, but at the beginning, you know, we're kind of reintroduced to our characters from the original movie. You meet Randy, his little brother, played by Valin Shinyei. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's his name. And we meet him, and he's like obsessed with like Buck Rogers stuff.
Yeah, he's like really into. He's like around the same age as like Ralphie was like in the first movie.
Yeah,
kind of. I think. He's grown up, you know, a little bit.
He's got a little bit of more snark in this than he did in the original. So
yeah, well, speaking of that, the whole for example, like the dad's personality is completely different than in the first movie. Like
a little bit, yeah.
Maybe it's one thing to have a different actor portray someone, but like does their personality just change after a few years? But whatever. I actually kind of like. That's the reason why I kind of like this one better, because like this dad is not as like angry and like,
yeah,
I don't know what the word is, like he's softer, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah, the dad is played by, we meet him, Mr. Parker, the old man. We meet him. He's played by Daniel Stern, who people will know from Home Alone, among other things.
Two,
yeah,
Celtic Pride. That's
yes.
you know. That's a classic right there. Not that great, but it's okay.
Also, as the interesting fact, as the narrator of the original Wonder Years.
Yep.
Which was inspired by A Christmas Story.
Right. Was he also the narrator of the original Christmas Story too, or not?
No, he wasn't. No.
Oh, okay. No,
that was Gene Shepard, the writer of A Christmas Story.
Okay.
He was the original narrator. So, yes, and then this, we also meet Stacey Travis as Mrs. Parker, who in this movie also has a little bit more personality than she did in the original.
Yeah, a little bit more of a role, actually,
in
the movie. Well, is she... You're going to make fun of me because sometimes I get faces wrong. But was she in Breaking Bad?
No.
Was she... Okay.
Not as far as I can tell. She, yeah, she was not in that. I just looked her up.
Okay.
She was in a lot of movies. Phantasm 2, Earth Girls Are Easy, Deadly Dreams, Dr. Hackenstein, sorry. Hardware, The Super, Dracula Rising, Only the Strong, Caroline at Midnight, Traffic, yeah.
Only this maybe we could cover that once. Only is Strong. I love that movie. That you want to talk about like a whole like underrated movie right there. I think that's one of them. I used to watch the shit out of that movie when I was a kid. I mean, like crazy amount of times. I even got the soundtrack and used to listen to the soundtrack at night before I went to sleep. Because it had like really cool like techno and hip hop music and stuff like that.
I've never seen that.
It's like a martial arts film, but it's
Yeah.
like it's not like a typical one. It's a little bit more of like a streets, martial. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I'll explain it
It's
later.
got Mark Dacascos in it. That's cool. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite movies as like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and we might cover that again for like one of our underrated films. Anyways, we also we finally meet, Braden LeMasters as Ralphie Parker, who is now 15. Like I said, what he wants now is he wants a car, basically. At one point, he finds it when he goes to the car dealership with the old man, and he sees it in the garage. So, what happens there, Matt?
Yeah, his dad. So was his dad like just wanting to trade in their car for another one or something? Is that what he was there originally?
Probably,
for?
yeah, trying to trade it in or something.
So he's off on his own, and he sees this really cool. I mean, it looks like all beat up, and so he thinks he might want to buy that car someday or whatever because it's figures he can get it for cheap because it's all like rusty and the windows are all dirty and whatever. But the like next day or two he's with his friends and then he sees that car being put on like a ramp or whatever, and it's like all shiny and nice looking now. So they're trying to figure out what happens. It turned out that I guess they're just gonna wash it or whatever, and then some guys looking to buy it. And then his friends, I think, kind of convinced him to go in, like, oh, just get inside the car or whatever. But then he sees that the dealer and the guy are walking towards the car, so he tries to get in the back seat and get out of the car. But then his pants get caught on like the gear or something like that, the stick shift or whatever, and then accidentally puts it in neutral. So then, predictably, the car starts rolling down the ramp and, almost causes multiple car accidents that could potentially harm or kill people. So that's sin number one of the movie. I had a whole list of things that he had done that were potential felons. Anyway, because I love doing that. Yes. But so of course, predictably, he doesn't get in an accident, but then at the last second, something falls on top of the car. Those usual antics.
Yeah, it was like a reindeer statue falls onto it.
Yeah, it just falls right through the convertible part of the car.
The roof.
Yeah, the roof, and then of course he owes money to the dealer now, and he's got to pay him $85. In 1946 money, that's quite a lot. And
I looked it up. It's like $1,100 in today's money.
So that's a lot, yeah. Or he's gonna call the cops on him, and then, so him and his friends all get jobs at the mall to try it. Well, no, that's the other thing too. So like, they don't get the idea to get jobs until like at the last minute. They're like, how are we gonna come up with this money? And it's like, what else? Like, how else did you think you're gonna what? Like none of your parents are rich in this movie, so it's not like you can just go borrow the money. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, and
I mean, he does try to borrow the money from his dad.
Well, yeah, his dad was like, well, imagine that. Imagine right now if you're like 15 years old and you just randomly ask your dad for $1,000. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like what for? For Christmas. You need $1,000 for Christmas? What the hell are you buying for Christmas for anyone to spend $1,000 on? Like, I have a rule: unless you're making $100,000 a year in profit after taxes, You should not be spending $1,000 on a single gift for any one person. It's just too much. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, all three of them, which it's a pretty interesting friend group right there, where all three people are gonna pull their money together to bail out one person. That's pretty pretty good friends that he's got there. Which of course he doesn't.
Yeah, that's where we meet. Yeah, because we had met them earlier here. It's Flick and Schwartz, who we met in the first movie, played by David W. Thompson and David Buehrle, Buehrle, however you say that.
No, not Bueller. So multiple hate crimes are committed in this movie, as well as sexual harassment and assault. At one point, he smells this girl's hair. So he's basically Joe Biden. I think this was Joe Biden's origin story, actually. So,
okay.
So 18-year-old Joe Biden smells this girl's hair inside of band practice when he's playing the cymbals, and he literally just goes down there and sniffs her hair like nobody noticed shit. And I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like this. I mean, I know it's before cell phones and everything like that, but like people can see you. You gotta lean over.
Don't we all do that when we're kids? Oh wait, no, I'm joking.
No. And by the way, I think that's the girl from Cobra Kai. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Probably wrong. But she looked kind of like. Well, no, because Cobra Kai started in 2018.
Yeah,
so that would be a whole 6 years before.
Yeah, she's a lot older than that. So, yeah.
Okay. She looked like, again, like I gotta think. For some reason, I see people, and to me, they look like someone else. Maybe not, but to me, they do. So in my mind, she's Cobra Kai. So that's my headcanon right there. So he goes stiffs to Cobra Kai girl's hair, and then
the character's name is
like a back.
Character name is Drusilla.
Okay.
And she's played by Tara Scoveby. I don't know. I'm bad at names.
Look her up, though. I'm pretty sure it's her. just do it, please.
No, she's on Riverdale right now.
That's who I recognize her as, Riverdale. Okay.
She's Polly Cooper on Riverdale.
Okay, I knew I recognized her. Fine, so I was sort of right. I saw her in something recent. It wasn't Cobra Kai, but it was something. So,
well, that's where I know her from. She was on the TV show Once Upon a Time as well. Okay,
that's it. Okay, yeah.
The last season. Okay, she was on the last season of that. Okay, cool. All right.
So he sniffs her hair and then doesn't get caught because 1946, and when you're a guy, you can do anything you want to a woman and nothing's gonna happen to you. So that happens, and then they all get jobs at the mall. They are terrible at their work, partly because they're not being trained properly, and partly just because they're idiots. But so like the one woman, she like teaches them how to do wrapping paper, but she only gives them like a 1 minute little thing that she just goes off and starts drinking by herself alcohol, which you're not allowed to do at work. You're not allowed to drink alcohol, but she goes ahead and does that, and then they do a terrible job. People, all these people are like, where's my present, and like hundreds of people, and they're all like panicking, trying to freak out. At one point, I'm not sure which was it. Schwartz? No, it wasn't Schwartz. I don't know which one. No, it was Schwartz.
It was Schwartz. Schwartz. He accidentally wraps up a baby.
Yeah. So that's nice. And then
so that was child endangerment.
Child, but that's another felony.
Yeah.
Or not just a neglect issue right there. So multiple crimes are being committed here. The mother predictably faints, that whole thing. At one point, Schwartz is given the job to spray perfume. To see if anyone wants to buy the perfume or whatever, but he keeps like spraying the perfume in his face. He doesn't know how to operate like a simple perfume bottle, I guess. Okay. Wow. I'm not great at tools myself, but man, like you can't, whatever. So like,
yeah, because these in the store that he's working at is Higbee's, which was actually a Cleveland, Ohio store in the original It was which was used in the original movie, which was shot in Cleveland.
Okay.
It was a store that started in 1860. I just wanted to give this little bit of background on Higbee's. In 1987, it was sold to Dillard's, which they continued to run it until 1992 as Higbee, and then they rebranded it as Dillard's. So it's currently Dillard's. But they shot the original one in a Higbee's in Cleveland, because the original film was shot in Cleveland. This movie, however, was filmed in Canada. So
yeah, I had an idea it was that. So
yeah,
we got that going on. Then there's like a B plot where the dad is always obsessed with saving money. He doesn't want to buy a new furnace. He doesn't want to.
Yeah, I will point out that this is like one little point of the character in the original movie that they decided to make the whole basis of the character in this movie.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not trying to compliment the original movie, but in this case, I think it was kind of a little bit over-exaggerated here. So,
I mean, yeah, the original one, he's just a typical dad from the 40s, you know, like a working-class dad. You know, they don't have a lot of money. You know, he tries to fix, you know, things himself because he probably can't afford it. That's the other thing, too. It's not like, I don't think in the original movie he was trying to save money. I think it's just that they couldn't afford like all this fancy shit or whatever, you know what I mean? But like this guy, he's all about like, I'm not going to pay 40 cents a pound for a turkey for Christmas, which is like a whopping $3 for a Christmas turkey. So he's going to go catch a fish from ice fishing, Christmas dinner. What? And of course, it predictably goes wrong.
So, what else happens in this wonderful movie?
So yeah, Dad's gonna go ice fishing to catch their Christmas dinner, and he wants what's his name? The younger brother,
Randy
to go with him, but he doesn't want to go again or something, so he ends up fighting it. I didn't understand this part of the movie. It just seemed like they were just trying to find something else to throw in the movie, where he finds a candy bar from his coat and then he bites into it, but he ends up cracking his tooth because like the candy bar was like really hard. And he doesn't want to go to the dentist, so he wants to pretend that he wants to go fishing, but his mom makes him dentist. And like,
but that was after he had already gone fishing once or twice with his dad, and he was freezing his ass off out there too.
It wasn't very fun for him or for anyone for them. I don't know why anyone would want to go ice fishing, to be honest, but whatever. I guess we all have our things, but it just seems pointless. Why would you want to freeze your ass off? Okay, and I'm done with that. But and then so like the dentist is like some sadistic piece of shit that doesn't even use Novocaine. So he's literally just like drilling into this kid's mouth, and he's sitting there screaming in agony. You can see the silhouette of it going on, and the receptionist is like doing like the cross like type of thing, like, oh, Hail Mary. And it's like, what was the point of that? There was no point in that scene at all. Like, it was just thrown in there. It had nothing to do with the movie at all. There's no reference to it at all later on. Nothing. It was just there just to be there, I guess. It's so pointless, stupid. Anyway, so you know, Dad,
it was to pad out the time of the movie, so you had like an hour and a half movie.
That's what it was. That's exactly what, because the movie itself clocks out at 85 minutes. So if you took away that scene, you'd only have like a 79-minute movie with credits. So mom eventually shows up and gives him some soup, you know, to warm him up, and she you know, she decides that she wants to try to catch a fish, and you know, they start arguing over, you know, like what kind of bait to use. If she wants to use a quote prettier looking bait, and then, you know, the guy's like, that's not how fish think, or whatever, you know, typical mansplainer from the 1940s, which of course be way worse back then. What do you know, woman? You know, type of thing. But, you know, predictably she catches the fish, but then they can't squeeze it out of the hole because it's like a really big fish. So then eventually it just goes back, you know, under the water. And then they get into an argument. She storms off, and then, you know, he complains about the soup that she made him because he's freezing his ass off. And she's being like a good person by thinking about him and making him some hot food while he's sitting out in the cold. And
Yeah.
his way of expressing gratitude is just to yell at his wife, which again I guess is typical 1940s masculine behavior.
Yeah.
Goddamn, why you don't know anything? I'm the man in the house type of thing. That's the reason why I'm out here catching it. He doesn't talk like that. It's my weird accent. But like, so anyway, sorry.
For a second there, I thought Daniel Stern was in the room. I mean, I was confused.
No. So we got the traumatized Randy from his toothache or his tooth fixing or whatever you call it. And meanwhile, there's the other kids are still at the mall trying to make money. They still haven't quite earned enough money yet. And then the weird stuff starts happening. I mean, there's already a few weird things. So at one point, they put Ralphie. So they get into a huge fight at this because they got sent into like this like mail room just to like stamp forms because like they couldn't do anything else, I guess.
Yeah.
Like without fucking it up. So they were supposed to put like the pink ones in like the suction tube and the yellow ones in like the basket or whatever. But then they got a green one, and then apparently that was because the elves tried to like form a union. So then like the elves got fired, I guess, or quit. So they had like
while they were in the mail room, you did miss the most important part of that.
Oh yeah.
There's that the tubes that they put him in has this suction on it.
Oh yeah,
and
right.
And Flick decides to put his tongue in there. And this is the same character who got his tongue stuck to a pole in the first movie.
Can't resist it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's got a tongue fetish, and that's hey, do what you want, but be careful, just be careful. Because you thought licking an ice was bad. That could have fucking tore his tongue out of his mouth.
Yes.
That's disgusting, man. That would have been a whole other scene right there from like a different movie. Oh, God. So, yeah, they basically... So that's another thing. So they become scabs during a labor issue.
Like you do.
Like, what's the labor... I can't think of the word... issue, I guess. I can't think of it. Dispute. There you go.
Yeah.
Part of labor disputes. So they become scab workers. And the Santa Claus is like a really, really bitter guy. He keeps saying shit about his wife all the time. It's kind of funny, but also kind of weird. He's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like what Mrs. Claus tells me every night." And it's like, okay, let's not tell kids about your marital issues. Okay?
Yeah, it reminds me of a therapist I saw when I was in college who I'm telling him about my relationship issues, and he's talking about how great I have it compared to the fact that his wife treated him like shit and everything, and I'm just like, yeah, this isn't helping me, dude.
That's a terrible therapist right there. Like that person immediately should have got disbarred. Like then and there.
I immediately asked for a new therapist after that.
Yeah, that's bullshit. And the problem is, there's a lot of them are like that too. It's not a rarity at all. Probably at least half or more. Are just. I think my theory is I think most people become therapists because they need therapy so badly that they just study it so much and they have enough knowledge just to become a therapist. But that's whatever. That's a whole other thing. But
So back to the movie.
They get into a huge fight because they like the three friends start arguing over each other. I forgot what even started the fight.
I don't think they're anything really. They just started pushing each other and shit. It was just stupid.
Oh, it was like a Three Stooges type thing. Okay, and then so they get kicked out of the mall. They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to be in the store anymore. And then
Ralphie goes back and begs for a job one last time because he really needs the money, and they give him like this really humiliating job where he's supposed to be dressed up as like a reindeer or something like that.
Yeah, outside.
And like he gets into this really weird, like sort of like I don't even know what you'd call it, like a fight, not even a fight, like a challenge between the dude for the Salvation Army ringing the bell and his like bells from the costume.
Yeah.
And they keep like shaking the things like faster at each other and like he's like doing this weird dance. Like, oh my god, such an awkward scene. Like,
Yeah.
I literally cringing when I was watching this. I'm like, why would they do this? This is so
I know.
awkward. I hated that so much. Like, why do they do shit like this? And these weird. It's like a common theme.
It's like a slapstick
like,
sort of thing, but it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't land at all. So then, like, this dude, like this really big, like muscular, bald dude, he accidentally Ralphie accidentally knocked over the guy's money bucket or whatever, and like there was like a $5 bill, and one of them is like some guy just went and picked it up, and then Ralphie, being a 15-year-old kid who's like 4 feet tall, decided to confront a guy who was like 6'5", who was like super muscular, like you do. And
I mean, he yells at him and tells him, "Dude, you're stealing from charity and stuff,"
So the adult physically assaults a child, a minor, which is a misdemeanor at very least, or a felony at most. And and then he walks away because 1946, you can do whatever you want. Apparently, there's no law and order. And so
no, that show didn't premiere until like the late 80s.
Yeah, that was like 40 years. Yeah. So this is when the hate crime happens. So, they eventually count their money at Ralphie's house. They're just like $1 short, and they don't know how else to say it. They physically assault a religious ethnic minority and steal his money. I mean, what else can you say? That's what they did. Schwartz Jewish. I'm not joking.
No, I know. It's his lucky
Schwartz
buck that he had for like a day, but yeah. That he got for Hanukkah.
Yeah, he's Jewish in 1946. The year the World War II ended, which was
actually it's 1946. Yep, there we go. Yep.
So for at least 6 years, they have known about the Holocaust currently happening. They may have not known about the extent of the concentration, but they knew that the Germans or Hitler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that none of this.
And they know their friend is Jewish, and they're like, "Hey, he's probably having all kinds of weird thoughts right now about being Jewish, and how like over in Europe right now they're rounding up all the Jews, like 18 different countries, and they're killing them, and they're putting them into ghettos and camps. Maybe in the spirit of Christmas, we won't gain up on him and steal his money so he can pay."
So Matt, these are 15-year-old boys.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. People didn't watch the news back then. It's not like we only had the news like 10 years ago. People knew what was happening. Granted, they didn't have
I'm just saying that I don't think the religious aspects came into play here.
I don't care. A hate crime was committed. So, whether it was intentional or not, they basically assaulted a Jewish friend, and then they stole his money.
Okay.
However else you want to spin it, that's what happened. So they stole his money to pay off someone else's debt, which I guess that is kind of like anti-Semitism right there. Like, we're going to blame you for our financial problems, Germany, right? So basically, this is a microcosm of Germany versus the Jews right now. So Germany is in terrible financial straits due to their own capitalist economy that they fucked up so terribly. Then they exasperated by their debacle in World War I, which they really shouldn't have gotten involved in the first place. They got their asses handed to them. And then they came back crying into their beers. And they're like, you know what? I feel like shit. Who are we going to blame for our fuck-ups? The Jews. It's their fucking fault that we fucked up. And then we're going to steal. They stole their money. They literally closed down Jewish businesses. They expropriated, which that's just a fancy word for stealing. They expropriated their wealth, and they gave it to the German government to do as they saw fit with. So Ralphie and the other dude, so Ralphie, he might be like the Hitler of the group, and the other dude's like maybe Goebbels, I don't know.
Flick is Goebbels.
And then, so what we're seeing is a reenactment of the war in this movie. It's a really deep movie if you think about it. And I'm not making light of the Holocaust at all. I'm just like,
I think you're reading way too much into this movie, man.
Laughing because you make it sound like I'm making fun of like.
I can't help it.
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that like you could sort of see a metaphor for that into to pay off Ralphie / Germany's debt. Because it wasn't Schwartz that owed money, it was Ralphie that owed money. But
so anyways, they get the lucky buck from him.
Yeah. Plus, they probably thought, oh, he's Jewish, and Jewish people hoard money, right? That's their stereotype of Jews, right? So they're like, oh, well, who cares? He misses a buck. It's fine. We could take it from him. I bet you that was what's going on in their minds.
So then
1946, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. That's exactly what they were thinking in 2012 when they wrote this movie. Anyway, so
yeah, but they're making a period piece, though. Okay.
So, speaking of the writer of the movie, he's also the narrator, Nat Maldwin. He is doing his best Gene Shepherd impersonation. So,
yeah, it was decent.
Yeah, he sounds a little bit like him. But yeah, this was not based directly on any Gene Shepherd story. It was originally an original one written by Nat Maldwin, and then the movie was directed by Brian Levant. Anyways, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show, so I thought I'd mention it now. So Ralphie decides to, go to the dealer and pay him off, after that. But on the way there, he sees this less fortunate family living like in an alley. Mm-hmm. And he takes them to, I believe, the same Chinese restaurant from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And buys them dinner. And so then he's not got enough money to pay the dealer off. But the dealer ends up letting him off the hook and says, "Yeah, I sold the car anyways." So yeah. And then we have the Christmas morning scene. Randy has to wear a sailor suit, much like the bunny suit in the first movie that Ralphie had to wear, sent from the same aunt.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we have a scene where the old man gets his leg lamp back, a new leg lamp. Not even sure who gave that to him. I still didn't understand that. Was that Ralphie that bought it? I'm confused.
Ralph bought his dad the pornographic lamp, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. That's another crime right there, buying pornography as a minor. So add that to the list right there. And whoever sold it to him also committed the crime. So, again, 1946, that would be considered pornography. I'm just going by their standards, Mike, okay? 1946 standards, that was a very racy type of lamp. It'd be like the equivalent today of having like a big boob lamp just sitting there like in front of the window,
How'd you know what I have in my window?
I don't. I'm just saying. So now we got to look into the seller who sold him that because they shouldn't have sold him that.
That's the whole plot of A Christmas Story 3. It's like a murder. It's like a mystery movie. It's a
yeah. And like the leg lamp is somehow a big part of it.
Yeah, they try to figure out who sold Ralphie the leg lamp. It's the story.
Who sold Ralphie the leg? That's great. That was the murder weapon too. Someone took the leg and just slammed it against someone's head.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out who sold it, and then we need to find out who used it as a murder weapon. So
yes,
be interesting. So just like last week when we talked about what would happen if we did like a Little Mermaid's Island show.
Yeah.
This is our version of what Christmas Story 3 would be like.
Yes.
We come up with a lot of good ideas.
Hollywood, are you listening? Anyway, so anyways, at the end, Ralphie ends up getting that car as a gift from his dad, or from Santa for Christmas.
Ooh, Santa, yeah.
Yeah. And so then we have a scene where he's out in the parking lot playing with the car or whatever, and it starts rolling down, and and then Drusilla comes by, and she helps him stop it from rolling back or whatever, and then she tells him that she saw what he did when he got that $5 back from that guy at Higbee's, in front of Higbee's, for charity, and how it was like, meant a lot, and that her and her boyfriend have broken up basically. And then he asks his dad through the window if he can take her for a ride, and so they go around the block once, and then we have the credits.
Yeah, but before that, I want to get into the racial slur. So it's not enough to beat up his Jewish friend, steal his money. That's like kid stuff to him. He's already advanced onto bigger, better things. So like at one point when he's checking out the car, I kid you not, I had to rewind this a couple times actually to make sure I heard it correctly. So he's checking out the car. And he's talking about all how the noises it make, and he says, and I quote, "There were more rattles than an Irish nursery." What the fuck? Like a 2012. Like, granted, it's a period piece, so I guess we gotta make it as accurate as possible, right?
The stereotype. I get the stereotype. It is that Irish people have a lot of children.
No, I understand that's a stereotype. Like, it's still a racial slur, though.
I know.
I'm just saying it's a pretty big one. I mean, like it's like it was phrased so weirdly that I didn't really get it at first. And I'm like,
it's 1946.
Well, I know, but then you were complaining about the anti-Jewish stuff being well. There you go. I mean, it was a period piece, so you gotta be as accurate as possible. I'm just saying you gotta be consistent. You can't be like, oh, it's okay if it's anti-Irish but not anti-Jewish. No, it's all gotta be okay or all be wrong.
No, I'm just saying, as an Irish man, I wasn't offended. But
okay, so one person, as long as one person signs off, it's fine, like Mateo says in Superstore.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Mike Colin second says anti-Irish jokes are fine, everyone. So have at it. I don't
think it's really anti, though. It's talking about the fact that they have a lot of children, which they did.
Come on, dude. It's a slur, you know it. If you go and say that in front of an Irish person, just see how they would respond. Yeah, some of them might think it's funny, but you never know who you're going to run into.
I'm saying it's not as bad as some other things that they could have said about Irish people.
No, it's not. They could have said like drunks or or whatever else. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But like I swear to God, I remember was it Gangs of New York when Bill the Butcher kills that guy with his club, and then he marks because the guy used to mark every time he killed someone with the club, which is very interesting, and he put a little notch on it.
Yeah.
And then he goes, burn his body, see if his ashes turn green. I'm like, holy shit.
Yes.
I'm like, God damn.
Okay, so you ready for some trivia here, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. As I said earlier, Daniel Stern plays the old man. He was the narrator of The Wonder Years, which was itself inspired by the 1983 A Christmas Story. So, yeah.
But much better than The Christmas Story.
Yes. The narrator stated that the car, a 1939 Merc, had 132,000 miles on the odometer. Odometers in cars did not read up past 99,999.9 until the 1980s.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Prior to the film's release, the trailer was panned. Despite the title of A Christmas Story 2, this is the third film to follow A Christmas Story, coming after the 1988 Ali Hoopnoodle's Haven of Bliss, and It Runs in the Family, also known as My Summer Story. However, those films are now considered non-canon, I guess. I don't know, whatever. I didn't know there was a canon to the Gene Shepard universe, but whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, almost all the gags in the film were inspired by the original film, they say. So, and like I said earlier, in 1946, the $85 needed would translate to $1,100 in 2020 money. So, like a year ago it would have been. Yeah.
So that reminds me. So you said that $3 back then for the turkey would have been about $50, right?
It was like 58 or something. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't mean to interrupt, but I was just thinking about this. So he owed $85, right?
Yeah.
And he came back. He only had $35 left. So that's $50.
Mm-hmm.
And if $3 back then amounted to $58, then how much did he spend on dinner? Like $1,000? Like or no, like I'm gonna be a quiet $1,000, but like that's a lot of money to be spending, even for a family dinner. I mean, how big was that family? Maybe it was an Irish family, since you're okay with Irish slurs. You know.
Here's a public service announcement to people here. Michael Edward Cullen II, which is me. My family comes from Ireland, and I in no way want to disparage Irish people. I love Irish people.
I know.
Irish people are my heritage.
I know.
But as are German people. Wait.
So I'm going to divide 50 by 3, right?
Yeah.
So that's $16.6. Okay. So that would then mean that I'm going to times 50 each time, right? Okay. So time right about $58. Okay. So that means that Ralphie in today's money would have spent $966.67 on one Christmas dinner. What? And this was like a diner. This wasn't like some fancy.
So how much did he
restaurant.
spend?
Huh?
How much did he spend?
He spent about $50 of that times money, and you said about back then that $3 would have like $8. Okay, so 58 divided by 3. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. That's $19. Okay, so 19.33 times.
So like $50 from that time period would be a $703.36 today.
Okay. All right. Well, damn. So that's still okay. That's still a lot of money to be spending on a Christmas meal.
How much do you think he spent on the family?
Oh wait, hold on a sec. Well, he owed 85 and he came back with only 35, so that meant he spent about $50.
Yeah, so $50 would have been about $730 some dollars. Yeah,
so we spent $700 of today's money on and this was not a fancy restaurant. This was like a Chinese diner type restaurant. That's a lot of money to be spending on one Christmas. I mean, what do they order? Like the entire menu? Like, and even then, I don't think they would have been able to spend. I mean, they would have literally took inventory of the whole restaurant and still had some money left over.
Yeah, something tells me they weren't really thinking this through when they decided how much money that would be left over.
I don't care. It's whether it's a directed movie sequel or not. They need to pay attention to these little details. They have to.
Yes.
If they don't, then it ruins the whole thing for me. No, actually, it doesn't, because it gives me more to talk about, which fills more space. So
yes.
You know.
So, do you want to hear some reviews for this movie?
Yes.
Okay, so we got one here that's called "Still Hated It" by Eric Stevenson in December 18th of 2017 here on the IMDb. It's a 4 out of 10. I think there were some other sequels to A Christmas Story, but this is the only one with a 2 in the title, so I'll just review this. Well, this is the end of Christmas month. I couldn't find enough Christmas movies for the full month. I didn't know you had to legally watch a Christmas movie every day in December or something, but I guess so. I did not know that. Okay. Anyways, I'll start next with book month. Anyway, this is bad because it lacks all the heart of the original. The premise just doesn't work. As Ralphie was so charming as a little kid, it doesn't have nearly the sense of timelessness as the original. The characters in this are just plain annoying. I especially hate Ralphie's friends because they're so dumb. these guys do such incompetent things on their jobs, like putting one's mouth through a tube for no reason other than to reference the first movie. I personally didn't find it as bad as The Sandlot 2. But it's still devoid of sense, especially with how this family somehow affords a car at the end. Yeah. So
that is true. That would be pretty.
Yeah, that came
expensive.
out of nowhere. Like, how does this cheapskate afford a car at the end? Anyway, so
yeah, but we also reviewed Sandlot 2 at one point.
Yes, we did. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to find any other decent reviews. Like, nobody liked the movie, so.
Weird, because I think it was better than the original.
Yeah. Here's
bad,
one.
It just wasn't good.
Here's one. Okay, a 7 out of 10 from Cat Farmer 1358 on November 25th of 2018.
Yep, holiday movie. They always watch it on holidays or near holidays.
Okay, I know I'm probably going to get hard. The headline is better than the first one. I know I'm probably going to get hard for this, but this film was much better than the first one. I felt the first one that the dad was a real jerk and abusive to his kids, and while the dad was a little bit like that in this film, at least Daniel Stern toned down and made it humorous.
Yeah, he was softer.
Yeah. So yeah, that I don't know. The rest of these are all like, it's absolutely horrible. Why'd they make this? Stuff like that.
You want horrible? How about half the things we have reviewed and subjected ourselves to over the past 3.5 years?
Yes.
Jingle All the Way 2. What was it? Tooth Fairy 2. Both Larry the Cable Guy films.
Yes.
Incidentally.
Well, at least the old man wasn't played by Larry the Cable Guy.
I wouldn't even watch it at that point. I'd just be like, no, I'm just going to read about it, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Take the word for it. Little Mermaid's Island, 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. You want bad?
Watch those.
You come to us for bad,
Yeah. So, yeah, would you recommend anybody watch this movie, Matt?
Not really. It's not bad. It's just that it's not good, and it's like there's nothing to it. Like there's some things you watch that are so bad, but they captivate you because of how bad they are. This movie's just bland. It's just like it's not good or bad. It's just kind of there. It's just sits there, kind of like a pizza that's not quite spoiled yet. It's just not that good. Technically, you could eat it.
Yeah, it's like you'll still eat pizza. You'll still eat a bad pizza, but my thing is with this, if somehow you're stuck in a bunker somewhere at the end of the world, and somehow this is the only DVD you have, you might want to watch it a couple times. It'll be okay.
Yeah, at that point, you would watch anything. You'd watch, a piece of shit just sitting there. If you had to, but I wouldn't recommend it. But
no. So it's an end of the world movie. If there's no other movies left over, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah. One time.
Yes, it won't kill you.
And then you might find another box that's got all the seasons of Two Broke Girls, and you can watch that as well. So.
Yeah. Or you can shoot yourself. And
wow.
Again, a public service announcement from Michael E. Cullen II. I do not condone suicide in any way whatsoever. Okay, so
yeah, or any kinds of self-harm, rather.
Yes, exactly. So another public service announcement. I also do not condone watching any bad movies if you don't want to, but if you do, go ahead. So anything else, Matt, before we wrap things up here?
Have a good holiday season.
Yes.
Apparently now we have holiday seasons.
Yes, it's November, so we're already celebrating. They're playing Mariah Carey, singing Christmas carols all over the Walmart and the Kroger's and all that stuff now. So it's Christmas.
Yep, Christmas is 2 month long holiday now. So
yes.
You know,
'tis the season.
That even has Ramadan beat by a whole month now. So,
Yes.
you know, at least Ramadan, it makes sense for it to be a whole month because that's the whole holidays, a whole month.
That's what
so,
the point of it is. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, even Hanukkah's longer than Christmas. It's 8 days. Christmas is one freaking day, people. So,
yeah. And I think the Egyptian Christians, they celebrate it in like January 14th too. So like,
yeah.
they're like, fuck this shit. We're not going to celebrate this like, when it's all commercialized and, well, that's not the reason. I don't think they did it because, it's a battle that, but,
anyways,
anyway,
hope you guys have a good holiday season. Good Thanksgiving. Good, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. And I'm fine with saying happy holidays. And that's not a war on Christmas by any means. So,
oh, yeah.
So, folks, make sure you go to ALL2REELTOO.com. Check out all of our links there to our social media and our Patreon and our TeePublic and everything. It's all linked there. It's also linked on our show notes here. Tell your friends about the show. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do. And
yeah.
Be merry, be bright, wear a condom, and bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.